a mistake and correct that mistake. That's the reason why they put erasers on pencils, that you can erase it. Listen, we all done it. Listen. We done hold on. We done slept with somebody that we ain't had no business doing. We done smoked. We done did everything that we can think of doing that we thought we were big enough to do.
That's right.
Ain't nobody pointed that finger.
That's right.
Nope. I remember something happened one time, and Bishop could have easily said, well, listen, we're going to expose this to the church, but he said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pray and let God handle it. And that's exactly what we have to do. We can't, listen, the Bible said we all have sinned. We all, that means everybody. We sin by thoughts and deeds. I can look on Brother Ivan and wish bad for him in my mind. I ain't got to tell him.
That's it.
I can be jealous of him, saying, who you think he is. I can think that in my mind, and then in my heart it will come out because of our actions. Amen. Sister Tanya, I don't mean to go over what you done, but listen, we are in the church, and this is our 40th year. And I was telling Bishop this morning, I pray to God that I'll be able to attend this convocation, but circumstances won't allow me to do, but I'm going to be here. Now, one time I said, you know something, heck with everything else, I'm going to be here, but I know if I did it, what's going to end up happening. But I thank God for our church. I love this church. And if I didn't love it, I wouldn't be here.
That's right.
There's other church people say, oh, you go all over to Queens? I said, yeah. I said, because I was born up in that church at the age of 15, going on 16 years old. I've been here. Through the thick and the thin. I remember Bishop used to sit in that pulpit and get me the deep command. God, what did I have done now? And I remember one time, I went to work and I came to church. Everybody was saying, Bishop wants you. And I'm walking back, I was scared to death. I said, oh, what did I do? I said, I know I did everything I was supposed to do. And I went and I knocked on his door. Who is it? I said, Deep, come in here. I said, oh, God. He said, Deep, listen, I want to thank you. And I knew then that he was getting ready to go home with the Lord, because he said, Deep, listen, I appreciate everything that you've done for me down through the years. And he says, I appreciate it. And I think Sister Session knocked on the door and she came in, and me and Bishop both was in there crying. So she said, Lord have mercy, what's wrong with you? You're always crying. And that did something to me. And I remember that night, he went over, it was communion. I said, Bishop, get dressed. I said, I'll help you. So Dick, I really don't feel like my leg is hurting. I'm hurting all over. I said, Bishop, I'm going to help you. And I remember he was laying across this bench. And the Spirit of God just touched him. That man jumped up like electricity. And he taught us that night. And he told us this, and I remember these very words. He said, some of y'all, if you don't be careful what you do, God going to slow walk you. 7 years later, God slow walked me. And my wife used to tell me, say, baby, whatever you're doing, you better stop. And I used to tell her, oh, honey, you always got something to say. You always saying something. Not knowing that 7 years later, it was going to befall me. And that's why I say you got to be careful. How you treat the men of God. How you look at the men. I don't care what you think you know. Listen, y'all. I've been through this here, because I can tell you something because I've been through it. You got to be careful how you treat people. The Bible says the least one. Now who's the least one? Who's the least one? Us. You got to be careful how we talk to the bishop. How we think we can just say anything to him. Because he's young, because he's on, you don't mind me saying, he's only 45 years old. I'm 55. 44. And I feel because I'm older than him, I just be able to say what I want to him. No. The Bible says, give honor to whom honor is due. He is due the honor. Regardless of what you think. I can't go to him. Matter of fact, me and him had some words a couple of years ago over something. And I walked out here, and I'm going to tell you God's honest truth, I was mad. I said, you know something, I'm not going back to that church no more. But I found myself coming back. He didn't know it. I was mad. I said, Lord, that's a 9. That's a 9. I'm older than him. He's talking like that to me. But I deserved it. Everybody deserves what you get. If you didn't deserve what you get, you wouldn't have gotten it. And I remember as a little boy, my father used to say, boy, you're gonna be the of me. And he was right, because I had a hard head. I would do anything I wanted to do. Me and Vandy used to talk about this all the time. Hard-headed, didn't want to listen. And my father used to tell me, he said, you're going to grow up and you're going to catch it. And I caught it this year. And it's a learned lesson. You can't go out and do what you want to do and be in God's house, getting up testifying, saying this and saying that. You can't do it, because God hears everything that we do and say. And he's taking note of that. And God will slow walk you. You hear me? I mean, he will actually slow walk you until you get to the point. I was at a point in the session that I couldn't even help myself. And I said, God, how did I get to this point here? And I sat there and I said, Lord, and I cried and I said, God, and somebody, a preacher told me one time, he said, listen, tell God exactly what you did. I said, God knows already. He said, no, just like how me and you talking, you tell God. And I said, and I emptied my heart up to God. I said, God, I'm tired of this. Yes. I'm tired of that. Yes. I'm not gonna tell you what I was tired of, but I was fed up with myself. Yes. Here I am, away from my wife, away from my children, away from the church. Nobody knew anything how it was. But God has a way that's mighty sweet. But one thing I love about God, he's a forgiving God. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. I love the church. Let's celebrate our 40 years. That's only nobody else coming here celebrate more than we celebrate. And that's honor the man of God. Let me tell you something. If you've done anything or said anything against this man of God, go to him. Because we're going to pay for it. We're going to pay for it. The Lord told me to say this. We're going to pay for it. Listen, I don't care what you think you know, but there's a lot of things that perhaps Bishop should have said. And he's a man of God. And I'm going to say this and I'm going to give the mic that Bishop used to want to get back at us for the things that we've done. But because he was a man of God, he waited till God spoke to him and directed him what to do. Because you can't get up and say everything that you want to say. Because sometimes you say that in anger. And you'll end up hurting folks. And then that's going to be held accountable to you. So sometimes you have to sit back and wait until God. And I remember one time I said, Bishop, something happened one time. I said, Bishop, I was spiritually angry. But he said, Dick, I took care of it. And I got that to say this. Be careful what you do and say. I don't care if it's mother,